Substance Abuse Addiction, Environmental and Cultural Factors by Shannon Black, Kobe Anderson, and Christopher Tan.
Prescription drug misuse can lead to abuse and possibly addiction, causing serious health risks and medical consequences. Physical concerns are elevated body temperature, irregular heartbeat, shallow breathing, constipation, disorientation, and seizures. Alcohol abuse can lead to alcohol poisoning or overdose. Physical concerns are mental confusion, difficulty keeping consciousness, vomiting, seizures, clammy skin, breathing, heart rate, and temperature control start to shut down. With media constantly at our fingertips, the effects can be devastating with the overwhelming amount of advertisements to promote the use of drugs and alcohol. Substance abuse is portrayed as being glamorous, physically attractive, normalized, fun, and risk-free. It portrays desirable outcomes such as success, romance, relaxation, and adventure. Many famous people portray drinking as glamorous. This false portrayal of drugs and alcohol negatively impacts many individuals, making them feel that using drugs and alcohol are acceptable. The age group that is affected the most is teenagers, due to the fact that they are very vulnerable to influence and peer pressure. Oftentimes, the more social media that teenagers use puts them at a higher risk of using drugs and alcohol. Support from family members plays a big part in recovery of addiction. Without support from family, one will lack the motivation to get better, not only for themselves, but for their loved ones. Research shows that addicts that have little or no support are more likely to succumb to addiction. If one has family to back them up, they tend to be more successful in the recovery process. There are 12-step programs and community support groups that are available for recovery, with like-minded peers looking for abstinence and a sense of belonging. Peers can play a very important role in how an abuser will stay engaged throughout their recovery process. Peers can obtain competencies in order to share similar experiences with other abusers to lead recovery groups. As peers continue to lead, they act as a mentor and someone to look up to for an abuser in an uncomfortable situation. Abusers who continue to surround themselves with negative behavior are 3.5 times more likely to revert back to addiction than those that surround themselves with peers that maintain positive behaviors. However, by removing peers indefinitely, individuals tend to have a negative outcome. Therefore, it is important to replace negative peers with positive ones in order to attain a better outcome. This population has a cyclical nature with many different types of cycles. Users who binge usually rotate through the cycle slowly. Daily users can cycle daily and/or up to several times a day. When cycling, decision-making is poor and many users have legal, financial, medical, and social issues. When users don't seek outside help such as rehab, then the cycle is bound to continue on. Children of abusers are more likely to use than those of parents who don't use, but it is best to avoid the risk of finding out and refrain from trying these substances. Children of parents who abuse may inherit a genetic predisposition for addiction. Children of abusers tend to have behavioral problems. Therefore, the risk of using and abusing substances increases. Studies have shown that combining community-based treatment and prison for individuals with addictions can help reduce the risk of drug-related criminal behavior and relapsed drug use. The criminal justice system is a pathway into treatment for substance abuse. Many individuals are court-ordered to get treatment or rehab. Many have been assigned community supervision rather than being put in prison. Due to the court system ordering treatment, many individuals felt that they were not ready to change. They felt as if they were forced to change, which is not as effective as when they want to change on their own. There are existing barriers for this group of individuals within this specific population. Many of these barriers are because individuals have poor support systems. Most individuals may not want to tell family and friends that they have a problem because they are afraid of being shunned and ruining their self-image. If the religion in which the individual belongs to frowns upon specific activities within addiction, the individual may not feel comfortable reaching out to religious leaders in fear of being scorned. In China, the possession, sale, use, and manufacturing of drugs are taken very seriously. The country executes over 2,000 people every year, which is more than the rest of the world combined. Iran's law is based off of Islamic Sharia law. Therefore, cultural and legal punishments are enforced. After the fourth arrest involving drugs, one is subjected to the death penalty. Russia is known for its abrupt arrest without trial and cruel prison program. Many people are placed into prison and then forgotten about. Russia has a poor healthcare system. Therefore, those who struggle with addiction don't get the help that they need. In Malaysia, they are known for sentencing tourists to prison and/or death for consuming illegal substances while visiting. They are very strict with their beliefs about using drugs. Socioeconomic status can be a factor in whether someone has access to treatment or not. Treatment centers are very expensive and can be a financial burden on many individuals. Lack of health insurance or lack of coverage for treatment can be an issue. The cost of treatment depends on the type of treatment, length of treatment, type of program, and insurance coverage. Many programs offer payment plans instead of having to pay in full. Typically, individuals that are wealthy have access to more options and better treatment. For individuals that cannot afford treatment, there are free programs available such as Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, as well as many online resources and helplines. Addiction does not know race or ethnicity. All races and ethnicities have people who suffer from addiction. Race and culture can be involved in how a person treats drugs and alcohol, as well as if they seek treatment for addiction. Both African Americans and Hispanics have been found to have shorter treatment retention and less likely to complete treatment compared with Caucasians. African Americans were more likely than whites to be unfavorably discharged from an outpatient program, meaning they quit or were expelled from the treatment. Identifying who is most likely to not complete treatment will help in finding the reasons why and will help in working towards improving treatment retention. Most often, addiction is something that people hide. Therefore, one can experience guilt while trying to keep their addiction unknown. Stigmas are often placed on users that are known to have some type of drug abuse, which can lead to health issues that come with addiction itself. This can be very detrimental to users and send them down a path of no return. Many religious people are ashamed by their addiction. We, as people of many religions, need to show compassion for those who are in need and teach them that it is okay to ask for help and nobody will shun them, especially God. Religion and spirituality can aid in the prevention and treatment of substance abuse in conjunction with professional treatment. Addiction does not discriminate. It occurs in both men and women. Men primarily abuse alcohol, heroin, and marijuana. Women primarily abuse alcohol, prescription painkillers, and opioids. Men usually are exposed to drugs and alcohol at a younger age, and women later in life. It takes longer for men to become addicted to substances. Women are at a higher risk for addiction due to the rapid escalation in the frequency of use. Men are able to have longer periods of abstinence, whereas women have shorter periods of abstinence but are more prone to relapse. Because of the stigma carried by women, they are less likely to pursue professional treatment and recover from their addiction. It is very important that individuals seek gender-specific treatment due to the distinct differences. Money and economic factors are of importance in geographical locations that affect health outcomes for those who have addictions. In order to get the help that they need, there can be multiple factors that play a significant role, such as where one lives. If someone lives in a rural area and does not have the means for a car, they can potentially suffer. Those suffering from addiction may not have internet access. Therefore, 12-step programs or other types of programs are not accessible via remote locations. If an addict was aware of potentially being part of a support group or 12-step program via telehealth or telemedicine, there would be more success and attendance in those remote areas. Telehealth and telemedicine could touch and save many lives for those in remote locations who are often left with no access to support groups. Implicit biases related to substance abuse remains largely unexplored. However, negative stigmas such as substance abuser, addict, alcoholic, and opioid addict are often used. There are more terms that can be used, but the terms that were stated are the ones most commonly used as explicit stigmas. There are many places throughout the world that are less likely to be influenced by addiction than others. For example, individuals in third world countries are less likely to be thinking about addictions when they are more worried about when they will get their next meal, shower, or even a drink of water. Those that live in remote locations without access to internet, phone, and other resources are also affected. But the ones who are more poverty-stricken are the main individuals who will be affected.